Well, Chris joins us now from Jerusalem. Chris, you've interviewed Israel's new prime minister. Tell us more about him.
Well, Pat, we learned when we interviewed him just a couple of months ago before the last election, he's a religious man. He's probably the first Israeli leader, I think, in modern history that wears a kippah. So, and some people say he's the first religious leader since temple times. He served in an elite special forces unit. He fought in the 2006 Second Lebanon War, the one we were up on the northern border, Pat. He's made millions as an entrepreneur. And in his speech, he wants to bring Israelis together. He wants to promote Aliyah. He says he wants to have a new page with Israeli Arabs, and certainly that's part of the coalition they have for the first time in Israeli Arab Party. But he faces such a tough challenge, Pat. I mean, to be leading Israel and keeping this coalition together, parties from the left, center, right, and the Arab Party. They've succeeded in ousting Netanyahu. That was the ideological glue holding them all together. But the question is, can they agree on how to govern together? They'll be tested right away.
This man, Lapid, he is second in command. He's going to be Minister of Foreign Affairs. Tell us about him.
Well, Lapid is a sort of a center-left politician here. He's a former journalist, and really his father was actually part of a Shinui, which is a political party years ago that was really anti-religious, anti-ultra-Orthodox. I think he's really sort of the power behind Bennett right now. He was the one that was able to put this coalition together, and so he's really going to be prime minister in 2 years if this government can last. But they're facing huge geopolitical issues, Pat. Yeah, they're facing Iran. Bennett addressed that in his speech, as we had in our report, and they're unified on Iran not getting the nuclear weapon. But the question is, and that's the question that Netanyahu raised, can they stand up to the Biden administration? That's going to be a divisive issue about Iran and the Palestinian Authority. And so I was talking to a former leading Israeli diplomat earlier today, Pat. He said that Israel may need to be firmer with their superpower ally, and we'll see how they're able to do that.
Chris, the last question, what about this Palestinian state? I'm sure that Naftali Bennett doesn't want such a thing. What is the posture of this new government?
Well, that's one thing that divides some of the government. Bennett certainly doesn't want a two-state solution. There are other members of his party, like the far left or the Meretz Party. They do want a two-state solution. So that's one key issue. What's going to happen when this government has to make a decision? For example, in the budget, Pat, they have certainly allocating funds for roads in Judea and Samaria. Will that be part of the budget? That's one of the questions. And I just wanted to add, Pat, last week I was at the Knesset. It was part of the Jerusalem prayer breakfast. It was hosted actually by a member in Bennett's party. His name is Kahana. And so what I was actually asked to speak. So I read from your Herzliya speech in 2004, and in that speech in 1974, you had interviewed Yitzhak Rabin, and that's where he pledged. He asked that the United States would be strong, and that's when you pledged that night on the Mount of Olives that you would stand with Israel no matter what. And they felt alone then. They feel alone now. And that's why your support for Israel is so critical at this time, and also for people to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem.
Chris, great story. Thank you so much.